Hello everybody and welcome to the very first Pine Bricks review of a LEGO Harry Potter set. Today we have set number 4750, Draco's Encounter with Buckbeak. This set released in 2004 as part of a wave of LEGO Harry Potter sets that was designed to coincide with the release of the Prisoner of Azkaban film. Now this particular set is designed to recreate a scene from that movie in which Draco Malfoy encounters Buckbeak for the first time near Hagrid's hut. Despite being the smallest set of the wave and retailing for a mere $7.99 back in the day, this set contains a number of interesting elements and features that we wanted to share with you today. The first being this beautifully molded Buckbeak. I love the shaping on the head and the beak. I think it looks really great and is a pretty good recreation of his on-screen appearance. I also like the texturing on his neck and thigh to give the effect of feathers, and the utilization of that classic dark gray molded wing piece and the texturing on it for his wings. I think it looks really great, and I also appreciate the addition of 4 studs on his back to place or seat a LEGO minifigure. I think that's a fun addition, and all things considered, based upon this being from the year 2004, I think this early version or rendition of Buckbeak is really quite good and is a relatively nice recreation of his on-screen appearance. Thinking back in the day, this was a wonderful, magical creature to have in your LEGO Harry Potter collection, and I think it still is to this day. Now, moving along to the sole minifigure in this set, we have Draco Malfoy. Now, this particular version of Draco is exclusive to this set, and he's a fairly basic recreation of Draco, but I think it still looks pretty nice. We can see here that he has flesh-colored skin. This is one of his first appearances with flesh-colored skin in 2004, as the LEGO Group started releasing minifigures with flesh-colored skin in the year 2004 as an update to their classic yellow skin tone that they had for decades. This version of Draco also comes with that thick fabric, black cape, which I think is a nice addition, but it's too bad that it doesn't have that starry print that many of the capes came with in those early 2001 and 2002 LEGO Harry Potter sets. He also has an updated torso print for 2004. The colors are darker and a bit more subdued than they were in the 2001 and 2002 wave of sets, and it's too bad that it omitted the house crest as a print from the torso. I think that was a nice addition. Overall, I think this is a pretty good minifigure. I'm glad I have him in my collection, but it's definitely not one of my favorite versions of the Draco Malfoy minifigure. Now, moving along to the build itself, there's a number of interesting features that I wanted to share with you. The first is this very nice but simple tree design. It has 3 different leaf elements, 1 large and 2 small, and uses just a few different brown elements to create the effect of a tree. I think overall it looks pretty nice, and I like the inclusion of that tan owl perched at the top. You can just imagine the owl, lurking up in the tree, peering over this encounter between Draco and Buckbeak. Now, these molded owl pieces were really quite nice for the time. In 2004, there were a number of molded owls that came in sets, but I think this one looks really great. I like the tan owl, and it was great how in these early waves of LEGO Harry Potter sets that the owls often came recolored in different sets. Nowadays, since the reboot of LEGO Harry Potter sets in 2018, the owls have these new molds and beautiful prints which just looked absolutely amazing. But considering this was 2004, back in the day, I think these owls were a pretty nice inclusion in the set. Now, looking below the tree, we have a very nice little LEGO plant element. Now, this particular element is notoriously very fragile and brittle and was known to break quite easily. Our particular version of this element is still in pretty good condition in this set, but it's definitely a fragile element nonetheless. This is a nice inclusion in this set as it recreates the effect of, vines in the pumpkin patch near Hagrid's hut. And to the left of that, we can see a LEGO minifigure head recolored in orange to represent a pumpkin. Nowadays, these pumpkin elements are molded, but I think this was a nice inclusion in the set at the time and gave a nice little splash of color, which was very much so needed in this set that had a lot of gray, green, and some brown pieces. Now, to the left of that pumpkin is one of my absolute favorite elements in this set, and that is this beautifully printed Monster Book of Monsters book. We can see the printing on the front is just absolutely spectacular with the eyes and nose slits and mouth and fangs. I think it looks really, really great. I like the printing on that tan book. We can also see on the side here that it has printing as well as printing on the back. You know, these printed books back in the day were some really great inclusions in those early Harry Potter sets, and it can open up to hold a 1x2 printed tile if desired. Now, in this particular set, this book doesn't come with a tile inside, but I think it's a really nice inclusion in the set. You know, many of these early LEGO Harry Potter sets came with different printed books, and they were definitely some of my favorite features in those sets. You know, it's a shame that nowadays, since the reboot of LEGO Harry Potter sets in 2018, you know, sometimes they will come with books like this, but they're not printed and sometimes require the addition of stickers, which is really just a shame. You know, these old books were such a great piece, and I wish they had more of them today. Now, moving along to the last primary element of this set, we have this stone or rock kind of wall created here in the back of the environment. And it's a really nice addition in this set, and it also hides the one primary play feature that comes with the set, and that is this hidden compartment that can actually open up. If you lift up the top of the rock or stone wall, it reveals this hidden compartment, and inside we can see that there's a number of different LEGO elements, which the great cheesy studios would dub printed, you know, magical elements. And I think these are just absolutely awesome inclusions in this set. On the left, we have a 1x2 printed tile of a blanket, which appears to be wrapped with twine. And then we have a dark gray feather piece that appears to be part of a quill. And then a 1x1 printed tile of a spider on a green tile. And it actually looks really, really nice. Now, you can just imagine the Draco Malfoy minifigure, you know, uncovering this hidden compartment within this stone wall surrounding the pumpkin patch and hiding away the Monster Book of Monsters, or maybe a crystal or gem that he found within Hogwarts Castle. I think this is a great inclusion in the set and is an absolutely classic LEGO Harry Potter play feature. Now, to round out this set, it's worth mentioning that it also came with two additional elements. The first being this additional printed 1x1 spider tile and an additional dark gray feather piece for the quill. It's kind of cool to note too that these two additional pieces also can fit in that compartment with the other three pieces I showed you earlier. Now, all things considered, I think this is a great LEGO Harry Potter set. You know, it comes with a number of interesting elements and features, and for the time was really a nice little set. You know, in 2004, there were a number of big sets like the Shrieking Shack, the motorized Hogwarts Express, the updated version of the castle, but I don't think this set should be overlooked. This was a great little set and came with a number of awesome little pieces, you know, the molded Buckbeak, the owl, the printed Monster Book of Monsters, and an exclusive version of Draco. You know, this was a great little set. We picked up this set used a number of years ago on eBay for about $35 to $40. And it was great because it came with the original box and instructions, which were also both in quite good condition. You can still find this set nowadays either used or new on an aftermarket site like Bricklink or eBay, but a new copy of this set, depending on the condition of the sealed box, can easily set you back $50 to $80, which is pretty expensive nowadays considering that this set originally retailed for just a mere $7.99, and prior to its retirement, you could find it for even as low as $4 or $5 at a place like Kmart or Walmart. Well, thank you for watching our review of LEGO Harry Potter set 4750. We're very excited to share additional LEGO Harry Potter set reviews, as well as set reviews of other LEGO sets in our collection, such as Star Wars, Marvel, modular buildings, and more in the future. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next review. Bye-bye.